This mutation is called Secret Storm, and it is being played on Lock and Load. We have 3 mutators active. We have Twister, we have We Move Unseen, and we have Aggressive Deployment. So Twister and We Move Unseen has been changed as of this patch. In the prior patches, the Twisters were actually cloaked, and now they are not. The one thing that I found actually kind of odd was even though they were cloaked, you could still see the rings on the ground when they would be moving around. So I'm not really sure why that change was made, but now the Twisters are no longer cloaked anyway. We can see here that we have Stetmann and Kerrigan. I'm going to try and highlight some more Stetmann play. Kenzie is one of the better Stetmann players that I have seen, and so I kind of wanted to showcase a few more Stetmann games in weekly mutations, so hopefully it will not be too bad. The more difficult mutator here to deal with is the aggressive deployment mutator, which will start to drop attack waves on your army. So there are ways around it. I did not want to utilize it for this playthrough, but what you can do is if you set up an air unit on unpathable terrain, so say somewhere over here or in somewhere in between the locks, the aggressive deployment drops for you will not appear, because that glitches the map. So you can do that to deal with aggressive deployment. So putting a corruptor over here or a mutalisk over here, that'll basically completely cancel out the aggressive deployment drop, and the aggressive deployment drops will not spawn for you. And if your ally does the same, then their aggressive deployment drops will also not appear, and the mutation is it then becomes very, very easy to deal with. So that is if you do want to exploit a bug in the way the triggers are being utilized. I haven't done it for this one. I think this mutation is a little bit more interesting when you have the aggressive deployment drop. But if you are struggling, that is something that you can use to take advantage of this. And just do know that this is only as of the current patch. If Blizzard does end up fixing it, it'll obviously no longer work. So just take that in mind, that this cast is as of this current patch. So we can see now Stetmann has spread their satellites all the way through over here, and this will give Stetmann the reach that he needs and the extra ability to be mobile around the map. And so far we can see that we have Kerrigan and Gary out, being converted to Super Gary. Let's quickly take a look at the masteries. We can see that we have the immobilization wave and the primary ability improvement, and very standard selections here for Gary. And this basically means they are going for a hero solo. Kerrigan uses her simulation aura, again just getting a few more minerals over here. Kerrigan is going to start focusing. He's getting booped back by the Twister, but all seems okay over here. That Immortal is cloaked, but again, now there is an Omega Worm, and the Omega Worm ends up revealing that Immortal and the rest of the units over here, and now they are good to go. Gary's on this side, already starting to harass using their abilities over here. Notice the charge on the satellites here. The first aggressive deployment drops have spawned. Kerrigan has put down a few static defenses, and this will be used as mostly a mineral dump. Kerrigan needs to make sure that she has enough of these Omega Worms to provide enough vision. These one of the things that is problematic when you are doing a solo hero build is that these heroes cost 0 supply. And because they cost 0 supply, it means that the aggressive deployment drops does not count them as an army unit, and therefore the aggressive deployment drops will always drop near the expansions, and they will make their way towards your base. So that is one thing to take into consideration when you're doing this, and this is why Kerrigan is just building a ton of spine crawlers here, just as a mineral dump. She doesn't really need the resources anymore. If you are doing a solo Kerrigan build, the only thing you need is to dump your gas into Omega Worms, and that is what will be utilized throughout the course of this game, just to provide a little bit of mobility. Kerrigan is already over here to taking a little bit of harassment here, but now she's good to go. It drops in the Omega Worm, gets some detection on here, and now she'll be able to clean up this side. Gary has already cleaned up and harassed the top side over here, and for the most part at least, and now he has recalled himself over here to provide some backup to Kerrigan. Kerrigan clearing up the ground units, and pretty much all okay over here. That side ends up being cleaned up, and now the next set of aggressive deployment drops have dropped here. There was a ping on the mini map here, but again there is detection on this side, and again a bunch of spine crawlers as well here, and this should be more or less okay. So Kerrigan has cleaned up the side now with the Super Gary, And now Super Gary has recalled back up to the top to provide a little bit more harassment on here. There is a Void Ray and a few Stalkers here, but more or less without too many problems. Kerrigan uses her Mega Worm here just to provide some help to Super Gary. Again, these hybrids do have a lot of HP. It does take a while for Super Gary to clear them. And now there is an aggressive deployment drop that has come up on this side. Takes out the Mega Worm, but again, not too much of a problem. There is already a burrow drone on this side. And over here again, there are a few burrow drones, and they have camped down the central lock as well. The rest of these zealots now make their way here, but they get intercepted by Stetmann's spine crawlers, which is all very, very good. And again, this side now has been completely cleaned up, and the commanders will start to cap this lock as well. Over here, there is an attack wave that is making its way over here, and I think it will probably end up taking out these drones over here because there is an observer here as a detection. Again, Kerrigan uses the Mega Worm to start stalling, comes out here and just ends up clearing out these zealots over here. And now that has been cleared, and for the most part I think all seems to be okay on the western front here. And now there is another aggressive deployment drop that is spawned, and there are a few enemy units that are here, but that zealot ends up getting cleaned up. A few more zealots on this side from the aggressive deployment drop. Kerrigan is okay, but Kerrigan has to go and help her ally out, I believe. Where did Kerrigan go? No, Kerrigan jumps back over here, and I think Kerrigan will probably end up jumping on this side to help her ally out at some point. There is a hybrid dominator there that is dealing a little bit of damage, but the overcharge on that satellite is keeping the Super Gary alive. So there we go. Nice worm, or Mega Worm comes out. Kerrigan jumps in, just focuses down that hybrid, because that hybrid is probably the more annoying unit here. And again, there is one zealot again that is harassing this side, but again, not too much of a problem. Kerrigan just wants to go and just help the ally out, making sure that the high value units get taken out. Super Gary can clean out the zealots without too many problems, so it's just not really an issue. Just taking out these carriers and whatnot. And for the most part, that will be okay. Kerrigan has to make sure that she does end up not taking too much damage as well. These Immortals do a lot of damage, so using the abilities combined with the increase in damage output from the Masteries makes Kerrigan very, very effective and very, very survivable through big enemy bases over here. And for the most part, that has been cleared out now, and the commanders are going to be capping out that lock. So there is one more lock left. Kerrigan jumps in, uses an immobilization wave, instantly ends up deleting all the high damage units like the Dark Templars that are parked over there, and that side is all okay. But now there is a double attack wave that is spawned. There are a few zealots that come up over here, but they will end up getting taken out by the static defenses on this side. For the most part, all okay. And Super Gary just cleaning up the attack wave on here as well. Kerrigan has to jump in just to make sure those zealots do not end up doing too much damage to these static defenses, and that is all okay here. But now there is an attack wave that has spawned, and they are going to be capping this lock over here, so Kerrigan will have to go and deal with this side. And meanwhile, there is a Colossus over here that is dealing a little bit of damage to this Nice Worm, but that is okay. Ends up going down over there, and that lock has been protected right now, but again, there is a harassment over here, and now Kerrigan has to go and deal with this harassment. And notice the amount of damage these Immortals are doing. These things can take out your structures very, very quickly, and if you end up losing vision, then that is a bit of a problem. Advantage here is just having having Gary's satellites as well. It means these Immortals can will have a little bit of a harder time taking out the air units over here. But you can see here, there's a few units here. There's one Immortal left over here, and now over here there is harassment from a Zealot that has been capped, and there we go. So that area, but so let's just go ahead and get cleaned up, and there we go. And now this is the other thing to also note, is that there is an observer that is moving over here. Observers cannot cap locks, but if they get detected, they can cap locks. So that is one of the annoying things about having observers over here. So also, that's something to take into account. If you are using a lot of detection around the locks, observers will be able to start capping locks, and they will start to interrupt you and delay your lock capping glory. So just think about the observer, which was again, it slowed down the lock capping procedure over here. But now that is the last lock that has to be camped. The static defenses have held for this, and Kerrigan jumped in, and she's going to end up deleting that side. Doesn't really matter though. All 5 locks have been camped, and this is at roughly the 14-minute mark. And yeah, there we go. Ulnar is saved, and that is GG.